Hello everyone, my name is Brandon Wilkins and I'm a second year grad student and I teach Chemistry 111 here at A&M. Right now I'm in one of the FYP labs in Heldenfels where you have your weekly TA training and you will teach your labs during the semester. Grad school is a challenging time with research, teaching, and going to your own classes, and staying organized can be the hardest part. During your week, you will also have to go to seminars, group meetings, conduct office hours in the help room, and do your TA training. In this video, we will give you some tips to deal with your weekly obligations, grading responsibilities, and time management skills to help you be more efficient. One overlooked responsibility is the TA training. It usually occurs at night, so there shouldn't be any conflict with your classes. All the TAs in the first year program meet in one of the lecture rooms downstairs, and Dr. Lee and Dr. Bethel, the lab coordinators for the course, go over any important deadlines and announcements that may come up during the semester. Afterwards, you'll break off to specific lab courses with your IA to talk about specific experiment issues. Having taught 111 4 times, the experiments become more routine the longer you've been teaching. However, if you've never done the experiment before, then while you're doing the practice, you should look for trouble spots during the lab, because you can rest assured that if you're having trouble at some parts during the lab, then your students are also going to have trouble during those parts. You're also going to want to think of questions that the students might ask, so you'll be able to quickly answer those questions during the lab and not be searching for an answer to come to you out of the blue. Also important is to note safety concerns during the lab so that you can point those out to your students. Safety is of the utmost importance, and so we want to make sure while these students conduct the lab, they're being safe. It's also important to note the waste disposal locations so that you can tell your students where to properly dispose of any waste that may be generated during the lab. Read the experiment before you do the lab and take note of any changes that may occur. You also want to take notes of your progress and observations that occur during your practice so that when your students ask you if they're making appropriate progress, you can tell them if they are or are not. In the past, many TAs have not taken the practice teaching seriously, and this leads to problems when they actually teach the lab. Working hard during this training will improve the student's experience for the next week. Another obligation in your week is grading the students' lab reports. Some challenges are grading inconsistently, waiting too late to grade assignments, and handling grade discussions and issues. The grading rubrics are given to you by lab coordinators or the lab IA. These rubrics ensure consistency and allow for you to put constructive criticism on the assignments to help students. You should be demanding on safety and performance and be able to explain to students why they may have lost points for any safety violations. Looking over the assignment after TA training will help you grade more effectively on the DRAs, which stands for Data Reduction and Analysis. These are the assignments that the students turn in after they have completed a lab. However, if you're struggling with grading an assignment, talk to fellow teaching assistants or the IA or lab coordinators in order to get help with the grading. Assignments should return to students the next time that the section meets, so make sure you're keeping up with the grading. Make time in your schedule to grade weekly, but note that no grading can be done in the help room. When completed, make sure the grades on eCampus match the grading sheet that you turn into the first year program office. And when handing back graded assignments, make sure to hand back assignments to the individual students. Don't have piles of papers that the students can rifle through. This is a violation of their privacy and is against the regulations of FERPA. Some students may get upset with their grades, so be able to explain to them why points are taken off. Making notes to students on the DRAs can help them understand why they lost points. Handle each conversation personally, not in a group, and do not discuss grades by email. If a student does have a dispute, they should talk with you first, but if they're still unhappy with your answer, they request a regrade from the first year program office. This grade is final and the score can go up or down. Grading can take a good amount of your time during the week, but being prompt, helpful, and consistent will make labs easier for you and for your students. Now that we've talked about some of the weekly obligations and grading responsibilities you have as a graduate student, the question becomes, how do you learn to balance everything you have to do in graduate school? This all comes down to good time management. The average graduate student will spend 40 hours on classes, teaching, studying, and going to seminars, but some of you may need to put in 50 to 55 hours approximately. Teaching will be about 20 of the hours that make up the times when you have to teach, grade, hold office hours, and attend TA practice. One tip to stay organized is to have a planner or online calendar. This is a place to make sure you make time for your graduate classes, studying, teaching responsibilities, and other obligations. Online calendars are helpful because they can send you email or text notifications as reminders. These planners help organize your time for things like seminars, group meetings, and also one-on-ones with your PI. So what does the first year schedule look like? In the fall semester, you have graduate classes, teaching, and selecting an advisor. In the spring, you have more classes in teaching, you're worried about passing your CUMEs, and also at this point you will be joining a research lab. In the summer, you mostly focus on research. For your first 2 semesters, graduate classes and coursework are your priority. This means that you need to be prepared and efficient in your teaching. Don't take your other stresses out on the students that you teach. When you teach your labs and attend your office hours, be present and focused. Help and teach your students and don't focus on any other obligations you may have at that time. So what can you do to help survive this rough time? You should make time for your hobbies. It's very important, whatever they may be. Reading, sports, music, video games, hanging out with friends. All of these are good for relieving stress. It's also important to take care of yourself physically. Go to the gym, take a walk, get a lot of sleep. It's very important that you don't pull all-nighters if you can avoid that sort of thing. And don't schedule labs or office hours immediately before or after graduate classes. You won't be focused while you're in class, you'll feel rushed or overwhelmed, and you need to have 10 to 15 minutes before and after lab to set up and to clean everything up once you're done, so you don't want to be rushing to do all that. Also, do not take vacations or travel unless all your responsibilities back here are covered. If you're going to a conference, make sure you have a reliable sub to cover all your labs. You should also know when to answer student emails. You probably check every day, but the checking doesn't have to be every minute. Students like when their TA is prompt in answering their emails, so that will reflect well on you when they're reviewing that sort of thing. Graduate school is a difficult time where you're pulled in many different directions. The advice in this video will hopefully help you with time management and organization and help make you a better student and TA.